Hey nerds, welcome back to the letter. We're gonna continue on with Mariana's story after she met Rebecca. Should be a couple days later from now. Monday couldn't come any sooner. Okay. Monday what? I don't remember what day we're on. Do not remember at all. Okay. After taking the floor plans for Miss Santos the day before the last, I spent most of the Sunday drawing up plans and calling in my supplier. Does it say? Oh, Monday. Okay, but not this one. Oh wait, yeah. Monday this one? Well, that was Hannah Wright's party. Okay. Monday. Okay, so this is the day she figured out the ghost stuff. Okay, alright. And then what's tomorrow? Just so we have a kind of a clue of what was happening. Okay, yep, we're good. After taking the floor plans for Miss Santos the day before the last, I spent most of the Sunday drawing up the plans and calling in my supplies. Although no design choices have been made yet, I'm quite sure they'd want a high-end appliance, the most expensive material, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did these rich types, based from experience at least. Given how badly this whole thing started, I wouldn't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself and make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the building tenants takes the elevator up with me. It makes me self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me, and I'm sure she was going to point out at some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. But I'm saved from the paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up from the floors is nerve-wracking. The Wrights lived at the very top of the penthouse. The creme de la creme. When it comes to the condominium and the urban living. Just getting access to this place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump through so many hoops, so many security checks just to secure a key card. Not only because of the building management, but because of the Wrights' personal security. It sometimes felt like I'm being interrogated for a crime and not visiting a client at their house. Even when their personal assistants called in to help and verify my presence, the progress of aggravated rather than hastened. Speaking of the devil. The elevator door opens and I'm greeted with none other than the whiskey not so little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting. But I'm here now and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
No!
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security, and only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
He shoves me to the couch before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of things in preparation for tea. I ignore the animosity towards the employer that his words implied. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people don't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolated instead, I brace myself for what's to come. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes or even 10. I sit in the living room, just waiting. And when the kettle starts whistling the tea been served, I continue to wait. At least the silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spill my tea over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absurd in his cooking, and I don't want to be the cause for burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I am normally not this nosy. What should I do? Check it out! Oh no! I should have learned my lesson from like a couple episodes ago! Why do I do this? The crash came from the hallway and I really shouldn't be snooping about. You're right. You shouldn't be. I'm a fucking moron. But it's just concern. Yeah, concern that urges me to check it out. Sneaking a glance at the butler, I consider sneaking off, but
Excuse me, but where's the loo?
he barely looks my way, pointing a spatula towards the hallway. It's a good excuse, isn't he? And if I'm caught lingering longer than I should, I could just excuse myself, say that I wasn't sure which door to lead to where. Still, looking in the hallway reveals nothing. I don't see anything that might have caused the crash. The hallway, like the rest of the place, is in pristine condition. There are several doors for not only the toilets, but also presumably rooms for their butlers and for other members of the staff. As I stand there, however, something feels definitely out of place. One of the doors, the nearest within my reach, stands ajar, and from the inside, a light flickers insistently. It could simply be a light bulb that needs replacing. But the thought of it in a place so well taken care of seems off. I think that maybe there is a way the crash came from. Inside, I can spy a radio lying on the floor. That's probably it, right? Maybe the one of the help in a hurry to get out of the room knocked over in a process. If that's all it is, I should really leave it alone. As I turn to leave, the sound of static fills the air and a man's tiny voice interrupts the silence.
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead.
Why am I still standing here?
Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
This seems familiar, doesn't it? Whoa. Uh-oh. Okay. Dead. Oh. Did the girl kill herself?
Authorities are investigating the possibility of foul play.
Whoa. Like I've heard it before.
Reporting from St. Samphins, Shane McLaughlin of Galway Bay, AM.
What the?
Whoa. I recoil, backing away from whatever that was. In the process, I trip backwards on my feet, and I wait for the pain of falling flat on my back. But instead, I feel a hand on my back, I see a smug smile, and well, guess who?
Oh, don't tell me you're reporting to work drunk, Mint.
Of course I know exactly who that voice belongs to. It just has to be him.
Marianne McCullough, hammered on the job. That would be something.
But
Wouldn't dream of it, Whiskey. You're allowed to be if you wanted, though it's a bit early for it. So thanks for the save.
really, it is much appreciated. Even though the circumstances during our first meet were not savory or wholesome, I can't bring myself to completely look at Mr. Wright in a bad light. Nothing came out of it after all.
It's no trouble at all. I've been told I have a gift for catching pretty ladies, being a great catch myself.
Is that so? Would you say you'll be able to catch if another man were to pitch?
Perhaps, but I wouldn't know. I don't play baseball, Mint.
Why?
Right. Of course you don't.
I can't help but chuckle at my little jokes, but it looks like it completely went over his head. If he had understood, I guess it would have been inappropriate. He is my clan after all. Speaking of which, where's Mrs. Wright? I have work to do, sir. Where is he at? Okay, he's here. This one's gonna piss him off more. Good! Whatever little camaraderie I had with Whiskey is forgotten, however. I strain up and glance behind him, only to find he's on his own. Mrs. Wright is still absent. I still remember my place and why I'm here. To continue in such a manner with her husband would feel like a breach of trustworthy between my client and I.
Since you are here, I don't suppose Mrs. Wright is on her way down? It is 10:30 after all.
She'll be down here in a moment. For now, you have me. Can't I just chat with a good friend?
I don't think a night where we talk like two drunk Egypts makes us good friends. And if you have any bit of sense, it's better to forget that night ever happened.
What? Why not? It was a good night, if a bit boring.
You know exactly why. We both know what your intentions were that night. And to find out that you're married? If there's even an ounce of decency in you, if you'd like the world to be a little less messed up, you'll remember your wife and what you almost did to your Mrs. Wright.
It's better to get that out of the way once and for all.
Well, no need to be such a killjoy about it.
Yeah, the dead air between us, because it can't be anything else but that is broken as lively as voice calls out from the loft.
Marianne! I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long. I know we agreed we'd start at 10 o'clock, but mornings just simply do not agree with me. Not one bit. It's been like this since I've been in university.
It's 5 minutes to 11 o'clock. These high-end clients sure like to be fashionably late. I'm used to it though, much like how I'm used to so many years of hearing people mispronounce my name. Oh, sorry. Besides, berating and correcting my client would be extremely impolite, and Marianne doesn't sound too bad when she says it. To be fair, it doesn't seem like she's late on purpose.
I see you're up, darling. You know, you could have woken me up as well. Were you showing Marianne around? Not that there's much to see. This place is so tiny compared to the mansion.
I'm more worried about the way she stares at me, judging. She's a look. Such a look. It doesn't suit her pretty face at all. It just seeing Mrs. Wright remind me too much of her. And maybe I'm starting to hear her again, see her again, when I shouldn't. I should have left it all behind before forgotten it. To think she would be looking at me that way, I can just feel my hands tremble.
Oh yes, just showing her around and getting to know each other. Isn't that right, Marianne?
Yes, of course. And your butler was making breakfast a while ago. So if you want to get right to that...
Breakfast would be lovely.
There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it is too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. Besides, pancakes did look and smell heavenly. That's like the first good thing I think these people have cooked. A bowl of clotted cream, fruit syrup, jam, and other spreads are laid out next to them, making for a colorful arrangement. If this was brunch with friends, I would have gladly helped myself to the whole lot. But as it is, I accepted just a few pieces of pancake on the top of it with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables?
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs and whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners. Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... Well, first off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Why?
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, but at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blended with the rest of the decor.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past did not have us this involved.
Stop. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. This isn't the time or place for it, however. Instead, I use this brief pause to pull out the floor plans I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
Where is it? Where? sofa?
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts.
Oh.
Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde, which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear? We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
Oh, Kylie!
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
What for? You can park your cars outside.
What about that room? Right there, in the northeast corner.
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
I don't know where they're looking at for this. Oh,
Oh, that is perfect! Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again. Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too, and I'd dance, and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing the piano? I can't imagine it. But the earnest way in which Miss Wright said so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage? Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theater, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables. That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
Well, fuck him. Miss Wright has her point, so I really didn't want to butt into the spat of her husband and wife. Go down! Go up! Yeah, yeah. With the way the two were looking at me settles this. I might as well just keep to the facts instead of giving opinion. Well, also, to be honest though, we really think about this. She's possessed. He's not. We might need his help later. She's not really gonna help us later. Oh well.
Mr. Wright, your plan isn't quite feasible from an architectural perspective. I'm not even sure how much we can do without closer inspection. Well, the one about the garage, at least. A walk-in closet is easy enough, but the garage?
See, a garage isn't architecturally feasible, and it isn't going to be financially sound as well. We're already going to spend a lot on your other requests. You have several acres of land to park on already.
What? Did you calculate that on the fly? Financially sound my foot. You're probably just thinking up of imaginary numbers.
Might I remind you that I was a financial manager? I also looked over and approved the expenses of our other houses. I know the rough cost of these things by now, love. Masters in business administration, major in accounting. Sometimes I think you forget that I'm not as dumb as I act.
That catches my attention more than anything. It sounded more believable than Whiskey playing the piano. She really didn't seem like the type.
Business administration and accounting? What university?
Lux upon you, of course. Go Lux Dragons, red and gold.
Excuse me, how about we move on this chit-chat ahead and do whatever else needs to be done sometime today? I had to cancel my appointments for this, you know. We might as well do a proper inspection with the designer this time, just to get it out of the way.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? Riding to the Ringa mansion in their rice is an awkward affair. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seats, but I'm also worried about getting in the middle of another couple's spat. With the tension thick in the air, I can feel them staring at each other anytime. Starting at each other anytime. Nobody's saying anything. Up until Mrs. Wright tells her valet to turn the damn radio off. For a moment I think that he might start. But instead he just stays quiet, and so do the rest of us. But in the end, the sufferable silence stays. I have never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out of the car and up into the mansion, I meant the end of the uncomfortable ride, and I can finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to gaze and wonder every time I see it as well. Miss Wright moves towards the front keys in hand, and I can already hear Mr. Wright plotting.
All right, Hans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about. We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scout the property and circle the perimeter on foot. You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass. Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
Someday I'd like to ask Johans, sometimes I like to ask how Johans even can stand and tolerate the man. Why doesn't he quit? Certainly the pay can't be that good. Even I'm a bit put out of my mutual employer, and the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. At least, I'll only be working with them during the duration of the project. He works with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Someday I'd ask. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, he'll be away from Mr. Wright, if only for a little. We're able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem with the masseuses not knowing which key was what. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seems sturdy during the open house, but closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious damage and marks, nor wear and tear, probably rethreaded during renovations. Peek under the grand carpet. The wood is properly installed with bark placed down to prevent coupling. The carpet itself could use a vacuum though. Structural conditions, from what I can see without actually dismantling the thing, looks to be in good shape, and the handrails and support posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. I can't look more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mrs. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
The man didn't look too pleased with this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around at the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand again.
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead, at least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them. There is a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such exchange between the two of them. If anyone are to see them like this, there's little doubt that they loved each other.
Of course, and I want a garden full of them. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs, if anybody needs me.
That leaves Mrs. Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. So I'd like to think they may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name. He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils least of all. What's next? Am I gonna find that Mr. Wright saves kittens and from burning buildings?
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
When she goes without even asking if I need her here, I'm standing to stare at the walls. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of any interior designer job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that has both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it's safe for my clients. Since I'm already here, I roam around the dining hall to check things off my punch list, if you will. But when it's time to move on, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floors, and I really didn't want to be alone with Whiskey. I have to look through the place eventually, sure, but on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. Which floor should I go to first? First floor. I've already seen enough of this floor during the open house. Of course, I know that's just the convenient excuse. I don't need to be in the same room as Whiskey anytime soon. So I might as well just go upstairs first. The banister on the grand staircase landing are solid and a proper height. Any lower and they would be in trouble. There's a small catch on the carpet though, but as soon as nobody tries to run down the stairs until it gets fixed, things should be alright. And the stained glass? Art? Restored no doubt in the image of the First Lady and Lord Imrigurd. Or it was supposed to be until Lady Charlotte's fiancé was brutally murdered. Wait! Or it was supposed to be until Lady Charlotte's fiancé. By a witch of all things, from what I've read. You think the historians of this place will be a lot more scrutinizing, filtering out stuff like that. I'm amazed they bothered with it, instead of replacing it with some generic cookie cutter design. Oh, excuse me. This entire piece alone would have cost roughly 500, even £1 million. Lady Charlotte Imrigurd and her beloved. Looking at the mosaic? It's not too far for a stretch of the imagination to believe that despite images, I am really messing this up. Images would be Mr. and Mrs. Wright. It could easily be assumed as such if it doesn't know the history of the mansion. Really, a place like this should be protected by the government as a landmark. What can I do about it? Walking to the east wing, I try to go to the theater, but I met with an obstacle. An obstacle that's a locked door. 2 doors, 2 and both of them are locked. I'd be frustrated, would be, if I already hadn't stuck off with the Wrights with having their little business meeting with Miss Cooper before to take a peek. With that Miss Wright wanted, we'd have to install a powerful projector, the same type using the cinemas and projection screen. The sheets would have repolstered if they were to be any comfortable, and the walls will have been covered in dark material, paint, wallpaper, and install wall-to-wall carpeting. Really, of all the rooms I can be jealous of, it's this one. I could just picture myself in here watching old kung fu flicks on a weekend-long marathon. Makes me wonder what kind of movies Mrs. Wright would like. Rom-coms, perhaps? Her husband, on the other hand, I'd rather not to think about. In the middle of my notion and planning, I don't even realize that I'm not alone until I caught standing in front of the door locked like a fool.
Were you meaning to go in there? I'm afraid we won't be able to open it up today.
Oh well, I wanted to, but it's fine. I can still survey the rest of the place.
Apologies, but the key was missing when they were handed over. They told us that they'd get right back to us with it.
What? But aren't they supposed to hand over all the keys once property changes hands? That can be grounds to file a complaint.
They were already kind enough to let us move in so early. There's no need to raise a fuss about it. Worst comes to worst, we can call for a locksmith.
What's in the theater? The air is heavy and the somber. She grows quiet and glances out the window. Out towards the vast expanse of the surrounding what would be their home. Their home. Then she looks back at me and sighs with a bitter smile.
Flowers. Yellow flowers. Daffodils, dandelions, and sunflowers in the sort all up front. Just a whole garden of them. They'll make the house look lovely, won't they?
Of course. A garden is a wonderful addition to any home.
As I say this, her eyes roam over me, scrutinizing and thoughtful. I have to hold back the shiver that threatens to run down the spine at being inspected so closely.
Yes, it must be nice.
We're still talking about the gardens, yes?
I mean not having to worry about what another person thinks of you.
What do you mean by that?
She lifts her hand and points to her wedding ring before it falls listlessly on her side.
Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I didn't marry Luke. There'll be no fights about walk-in closets or silly helipads. I could do with this place as my heart desires until there's nothing but content. Then again, I wouldn't have bought this place if it wasn't a gift for him. I probably wouldn't even be in Luxbourne if it wasn't for him. Maybe I would have moved to London, Manchester, or Birmingham. I might have even left the country altogether. France, Germany, Spain, Canada, Sweden, even America. The possibilities would have been endless.
I don't know what to say to that. What is there to say?
I'm sorry, I must sound so petty and ungrateful. I do love him. So very much, even if he can be a bit difficult at times.
Oh no, not at all. I'm just confused why you're telling me this, of all people.
Just a whim, I think. Just flights of fancy, that's all. Don't you ever think about one decision you've made in your life and wonder how much would change if you chose to do things differently?
I try not to dwell on the past, ma'am.
The key word is try, of course. Thinking of the past brings up too many ghosts. Memories of her. And I do wonder what would have changed if I said yes when she asked for me. Maybe she'd still be with me. I return to the present, just like I said. Try not to dwell on the past. Why don't you decide on your own? You must have been quite the pair. Okay. I mean this in a nice way, but I feel like it's gonna come off a little wrong. You must have been quite the pair. I think I went down with her. Yeah, I think I went down. Her worries seem simple enough. I mean, it doesn't have to be difficult as long as she is making makes it out to be alright.
Why don't you decide on your own?
I meant nothing against Miss Wright, of course, though whiskey buggered me to no end. By law, she would have been the owner of the house. Well, unless they signed a joint property ownership anyway, which is a rare thing as far as I know, especially among these highbrow types. Sure, they would attract... Sure, they could actually love their spouse. I don't doubt the possibility. But money is money, and it makes people do the most horrible things sometimes.
It's your house. You can paint the whole place pink if you want, and there's not much he can do.
Oh, no, see, that came off bitchy. That's not what I meant. Because earlier in the last couple episodes when we were actually in Hannah's story, she seemed like, you know, she wanted to do her own thing and be pretty independent, you know, and stuff like that. That's what I meant, not that. The somber expression she had changes to a look of content.
I could, but we are husband and wife. Equal partners in marriage, Marianne, though I can see that you don't understand. This is his home as much as it is mine. I'm not going to go behind his back over a room. And how dare you suggest that?
How do I even talk her down without causing a further offense? It's in my attempt to shake off my own drama and I end up tripping right into theirs. Because really, I have no business meddling in the affairs of my client unless it's involved interior designer or architect. Yet here I am, opening my mouth and yapping. I do hate to see a good woman down.
That's not what I meant by it. I just mean that maybe you don't have to get the approval of your husband all the time. Or well, okay, fine. I know nothing about married life, Mrs. Wright. You're right about that. But I still think you're allowed your indulgences every now and then.
Of course, my form of indulgence meant buying old Slate 78 RPM country records which I don't even dare use with my gramophone. For her, it could very well be buying an entire house.
That's just my take on it. A perfect relationship is as rare as hen's teeth. You got what you got. I mean, you're doing well enough without my advice. Sure, look it.
The look of placement, that looks to place it for her somewhat. Oh, jeez. She looks away and starts to favor the view outside once more with a faraway look in her eyes.
Feel free to look around the rest of the house. Everything but the theatre should be open. Just call if there's need of me.
Of course, Mrs. Wright.
I really shouldn't have opened my big mouth in the first place. This sort of thing only gets me in trouble. I keep it clean, keep it simple, stick to the business, that's it. Be professional. But if I fail to do that, just because of a pretty face. When she turns to leave, she glances back at me before disappearing in the foyer. I look out the window from where she's standing, and I move on. Alone with nothing but my thoughts of her.
Finally, some peace and quiet. Thought the old biddy would never leave.
It's utter madness, this hearing things. I reckon it's stress, though I don't know exactly what I'm stressed about. If meeting Mrs. Wright has really thrown me for a loop, I'd be worried. If I'm developing some sort of psychosis or disorder, well, I'd call a doctor. But hopefully it isn't that. Not right here. Not right now. I mean, it could just be a personal talking cricket, the consciousness, so to speak, and I'm only noticing now, though if it is, it's very helpful. Pushing the dilemma of voices in my head aside, I go back to work. But I can barely make a few steps before everything tilts and shifts. I don't really stumble, but I feel like I'm being thrown off my feet and the rest of the world just follows. Though my feet stay firmly on the ground, and even if I stay mostly upright, I feel like I've been heaved and put off balance. I have to close my eyes in the hopes of willing the sudden sense of vertigo goes away, but when I open them... well, I don't feel anything. Well, I don't feel any less sick because of the sight that greets me. Blood dripping from the walls, ceiling, pulling downwards and seeping into the curtains and carpet. A wave of nausea, stronger than the last, hits me along with the overpowering stench of blood and gore. While I want to bolt, the rational part of me in my head is telling me to flee. And I have gladly done so if asked, but if only I didn't hear her.
In here, Marianne. Come on. I have something to show you.
I could have ignored it, would have ignored it, if I only heard it in my head. But I swear that this time it's coming from one of the rooms. much further in it into the study. I feel compelled to pay attention. I can't just turn around and leave. Not when it's her. I don't even think as I follow the sound of her voice. Whoa. Lorianne. Lovely Amanda Lorianne. Lasserfiona? She was my friend. The only one that I have had at St. Samantha's. I was a scholar, the charity case, in a school of privileged and prestigious young girls. They all looked down at me if they cared to look or acknowledge my presence at all. All except her.
Oh, stop your crying. You know better than to listen to Maeve. Why, I ought to teach that butterface a lesson.
Wait, no, lass! I don't want you getting into trouble with the sisters again!
Relax. It's not like I'm going to stomp her and her lackey's arses flat like last time.
Come on, let's just go back to our dorm room. I don't want to be on my Tobler while you go get yourself punished.
You'll be fine. Gip's there with you.
Lorianne was there when I needed her, through my highs and my lows. Having her as a friend made being in a stranger school away from farther all the more tolerable. She saw this poor helpless girl who was kept down and shunned by everyone else, and being that kind of soul that she was, she rescued me. So brave, so beautiful. She was something else.
I'll eat all the chocolates stashed away in your closet if you go.
I can get more. Just don't go complaining to me if you get a tummy ache because of that.
Well, you don't want to get detention on a weekend, do you? It's a Friday. We can go to town and have some karaoke. And we can have a go at druids and demons again. You're not going to miss that just because of Maeve, are you?
Sometimes I question what I did to deserve a friend like her. In the darkest corners of my mind were treacherous thoughts that lurked. I thought she only felt sorry for me. Maybe she was just being a good Samaritan, offering a helping hand. And perhaps I had been too selfish to return the favor.
You have a point. I'll just kick her arse on Monday then.
That's not what I mean!
I know what you mean, Em.
Wait, where are you going? You just told me you wouldn't cause trouble.
I still have something to do. Don't worry, it's not like I'm going to burn down her dorm room or something criminal like that. I'm just going to talk to her. Maybe I'll make it so that her room smells like a dog's air biscuit. That'll make it an excellent weekend. I'll see you in a bit, Marianne. Lots of tobblers.
Because when she told me that she loved me, I couldn't admit that I felt the same way. Not to her, not even to myself. It was wrong. I was taught that way. Husband and wife, one man and woman. Unclean, impure. I prayed for her and I, for our sins and for our salvation. I wanted to apologize for disregarding her feelings so callously. It must have been like a slap in the face to her. But life had gotten in the way. Exams, which were trivial in hindsight now, took top priority. I had to keep my grades up to keep the scholarship for my father. I told myself I would apologize to her when those were over, and that I needed to focus first and not let anything distract me. It had been easy when she avoided me like the plague. She was upset, I get that. I thought I had the time to make things right, but...
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead.
She killed herself.
Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
They told us that it was an accident. There's official statement. Oh, no, she didn't kill herself. Oh, that's right. They said that earlier. It was foul play. But I knew better. She was dead because of me.
Maeve had a hoot and I kicked the bucket, didn't she? Ding dong, the witch is dead!
She had, though she didn't say which, Lorianne.
But at least Maeve had the courage to admit how she felt about me.
I don't even know how long I've been stuck here in a trance. In the mirror, Lorianne smiles at me. She's beautiful as I remember. But then I feel a bile rise up to my throat as her clean image wraps her into the how she looks like when they found her dead body lying on the cold hard ground. Jeez. It's really whoa. Good Saint Tifa, a great wonder worker in the every affliction my mind and body, help me. I'm seeing things, hearing things. I'm going completely insane. Looking everywhere at her, I hope and pray that it's enough to will whatever it is to go away. It doesn't even immediately register in my head that I can just leave.
You, on the other hand, can't even look me in the eye.
I heard it hard.
This isn't real. You're not. You're dead!
I'm dead. Because of you. And you won't even look at me.
Jeez, sounds like Morgan from Smite.
Look at me.
My breathing quickens and I can fasten my heart being torn apart by her words.
I'm so sorry, Lorraine.
Lorraine!
Look at me!
I can't take it because she's right. It was my fault. And the least I can do is look at what I've done. Lorraine, broken and bleeding, looks at me with such hate-filled. An unnatural smile stretches across her face that I can only see malice in it. Whoa! She lunges at me. The mirror ripples around her form, and the glass parting like water surface of her face. Is this quick time? She grabs my shoulders, and I can feel her nails digging in. Sharp, even though the fabric of my clothes.
There you are.
A? Oh, D! D? Oh! I fucked up!
Coming with me.
Oh! I killed her! Try again.
Why won't you love me?
Apologies spill through my lips as tears cloud my vision. But I won't give in to this madness. With every bit of strength I have left, I struggle to get away from her. Fear grips me and threatens to choke me. I endure. I escape. And without turning back, I stumble back out. In my panic, I don't even look where I'm going. With one hand on the walls to steady me, just hobble as fast away as I can from the study. Away from the mirror. Freedom is bittersweet. I'm free from the madness, it seems, as running into the hallways reveal it to be as pristine condition. But it means I've turned my back on Lorraine again. I have no plans of stopping, not until I'm safe. And if that means walking back to Luxborn, as ridiculous as it may be, then so be it. Someone suddenly grabs a hold of me, however. Fingers digging deep into my shoulder, my heart nearly stops. My body seizes and I nearly scream.
Marianne, you look awful. I mean, not awful, but did something happen? Are you all right?
This is right.
Without thinking, I sort of comfort by seeing that it wasn't her. Her face is right in her boobies. It's a sudden impulse thing to do, and then and had I been in better condition, I wouldn't even dare to do such a thing. But I didn't know what else to do. Though I know I shouldn't. Her warmth, her scent, they grounded me. She's intoxicating.
Marianne, what's going on? Oh, you're shaking like a leaf.
Tremors run through my body as soon as my mind released. I am no longer in danger. Realized. I wanted to cry, scream about what I've seen, but like a sacred child, I couldn't control myself. My mind couldn't reconcile with what I had seen. I should just write it off like a figment of my imagination, yet I can still feel her nails cutting into my skin.
Are you sick? Should I call for a doctor?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wright. Just feeling a little woozy and lightheaded is all.
Let's get you somewhere to sit down then.
I'm hoping that maybe because she feels bad about her, I guess never was girlfriend, but the last girl's death, that maybe she'll help bring this girl out of possession. Let's get you some, oh, I'm reading.
Come on, don't worry. I have you.
A lie. But a whole lot less complicated than telling her I was attacked by a dead girl. When the feeling of fear races, I feel nothing but shame for my actions. Why is this new? Or is that only new because I died? Okay. I quickly back away as I clear my throat and nod for my face.
I think I've had enough looking around. If it's all right with you and Mr. Wright, I'll meet you outside.
If you're sure, I'll have the car started. Do you need assistance heading downstairs?
I'm all right, ma'am. Just go on ahead and I'll be right there.
It seems to placate her worries through only a brief second. Before she heads down, I don't miss the concerned glance as she shoots my way, hitting quickly underneath another smile. I won't begrudge her for it, that worry. The look on my face must have been strange enough to sight on its own. Even I am reeling from whatever that was. Her voice still whispers in my ear. After all these years, she's still no more Marianne. Shaking my head of her thoughts, I drag in a breath, then follow shortly after Miss Wright. Whatever has happened in the past is long gone, only memories now. And those are things I can no longer bring back. It was already dark as we made our way out of the mansion. With no light, we are only illuminated by the headlamps of the Wright's car and the stars up above us. The sight of them helped me compose myself much more, and several minutes of being alone did. The car engine is running, yet the two still stand on the lawn. Miss Wright is busy, eyes up to the stars. And Mr. Wright's arm crossed, has his eyes down to the ground. It is the crunch of the grass under my heels that bring their attention to me.
About time. What took you so long? A minute longer and I'd think the house swallowed you all up.
Oh, hush, dear. I'm sure she has her reasons. Marianne doesn't seem the sort to idle.
Sorry, I was just checking on something important.
See, business is business and they take time, love. You should know that better than anyone. So, Marianne, what do you think? Are you the woman for the job? I know we already signed papers hiring you, but I want to be 100% sure that you are committed.
I glanced back towards the mansion, knowing what I had seen there. Or rather, who I thought I saw there, because there is just no way. Not to mention how I acted towards Mrs. Wright, for God's sake. I should feel the slightest bit hesitant. I was lucky. I've seen enough films to know what happens when a promiscuous woman enters the haunted house. This is my chance to turn it down, make excuses, say that I'm not up for the task, that I need to take care of my old sick father. Just pay the fine, which is probably outrageous for my contract like this, and let it go. I should turn it down. But for some obscene reason, I can't. In the matter of manner, I haven't let go of her, of the regret that has shadowed me since that day. Much as I hate to admit it, even to myself, seeing her again, the mischievous glint in her eyes, the loose trendles of her hair curled from her forehead. It's something I feel terrible. It's something I've terribly missed. And now that it's here, almost within arm's reach, my father would tell me, sometimes you just simply have to go through it. Consequences be damned. And well, I really don't have any logical reason to say no. At least not something a client like the Wrights would want to hear from a professional designer. I get it's a graphic novel, I get you they're illustrating all of it, sometimes, like, I feel like they really, really drag out, like, just a simple question.
It's certainly an interesting project. You can be sure I'm seeing it through the end.
Such dedication! Oh, I do love the determination.
You were always determined like that, weren't you?
Hearing her voice once again sends chill down my spine. I can't wait for this day to be over. From the mansion and through the Ansel, I rode with them in silence. But as soon as we hit the city proper, I asked to be dropped off and bid them goodnight. I thought it'd be best if I didn't stay too much longer, confined spaces with either Mr. or Mrs. Wright. Both of them to cause me serious trouble, and if the project had been any less interesting or grand, I would have dropped it without a second thought. Would have. Should have. Won't. I assure them that my place isn't that far off, and I have been fight the urge to roll my eyes and groan when whiskey throws me a little smirk. But even my own home, peace is elusive, as is sleep. I lay awake thinking of what I saw in the mansion. Of who I saw. If I so much as hear a single whisper from her, if I so much as see a wisp of her hair, I'm afraid I'll go mad. But none of that happens. And it makes me feel hollow. For 2 nights, I've had trouble sleeping. But it's only one morning when fatigue has already let me rest that I'm reminded of what terrifies me so. Alright guys, we're gonna end it there. So now we got a backstory of what happened with her. Well, mostly. I feel like that pretty much just explained all of it, unless something was left out. But it's interesting. I like it a lot. Kind of curious where her and Hannah are gonna go. Not saying they're gonna hook up, but I mean, they'd be fine rather than don't fucking hook up than her stay with her husband, you know? But that's just my opinion. But I hope you guys are enjoying. Check out my other content if you want to see some other stuff. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great, wonderful day. Bye!